Hey everybody, welcome to another World of Warships replay, and once again I'm in my Mogami. Now you might ask why after the 0.3.1 patch I'm still using the smaller 6-inch guns, after armor was reworked and now you need to actually get a decent AP penetration to do something with AP. The answer to this is you still have 15 guns, and HE is really good at lighting stuff on fire now. So by simply switching from firing AP at things to firing HE at things, the Mogami and the Cleveland and all the other cruisers that rely on having a lot of relatively small guns, rather than having a few relatively big guns, they're still viable. In fact, they may well be more viable now than they were to begin with. Right away, spot the enemy Montana, who is turning to cross into my gun range. First shot's out. And oh look, once my scout's up and my teammates' scouts are also flying around, we spot the rest of the northwest spawn, which looks like the majority of the enemy team, including several of their larger battleships. I am getting some decent hits on the Montana, maybe not a lot of damage, but I am lighting him on fire, and lighting him on fire is exactly what I want to do. Starting to take some return fire from the enemy, and here I accidentally turn in front of our gearing and kind of fucks the both of us over. Thankfully, he didn't get blown up, and I didn't get blown up either, although I did lose a few hit points being careless. Shift my fire for now to the enemy Myoko. I'm still largely using AP for cruisers and destroyers when playing the Mogami, but HE is my go-to round for battleships now. Unfortunately, my shots on that Hatsuharu weren't very good, and fall too far astern to really do much. Fire off another salvo at him. Looks like he's turning towards me. He's launched some torps, but they're going to miss completely. However, they may have been intended for the battleship, who, for some reason, followed me in here. Do get some hits into the Hatsuharu there, unfortunately, again, not very big ones. So I quickly snap off the broadside at the Baltimore, while the Hatsuharu is somewhat cloaked up. His next lot of torps again miss me. I'm pretty sure at this stage he is aiming at me. Gives me a perfect chance to get another broadside off, but they hit invisible geometry on the island. Fantastic. I do have my graphics settings at pretty much maximum, so if there was terrain there, I should have been able to see it. It's a ghost collision issue, which I'm going to have to report in the forums at some point. Meanwhile, get another shot off at the Baltimore, and then I realize there is an Izuma to my left. Now, this guy is not any sort of good news for me, so I quickly fire off both my left side torpedo tubes, or sorry, both clusters of torpedo tubes on my left side, which is 8 tubes in total. He sees them in time and turns into them, but I do manage to get one torpedo into him, and that combined with the incoming fire from the other cruisers is enough to perhaps make him think twice about coming in here. Slow down a little to give myself some cover while the Izuma gets dealt with. The actual killing blow goes to the Ibuki who followed me in.
Our team has taken the lead.
Quickly We fire off at the Baltimore again, hoping to get some shots in as he charges our North Carolina. I'm not sure what he thought he was going to achieve by doing that. Maybe he's trying to ram kill it, who knows. I do get some hits out of that salvo, but nothing big. Now at this point, I've kind of charged carelessly into the middle of the map, where the majority of the enemy battleships are looking. So I quickly single out the Amagi, who's on relatively low health, and begin blasting HE broadsides at him to try and burn him down. He's also getting focused by some of my teammates, and sure enough, he catches fire. In fact, he's quite severely on fire. That's almost certainly going to kill him. The enemy Colorado actually gets hung up on his wreck, but I carelessly fire my broadside in front of him rather than on him, and just miss. Now I'm in trouble. I try and put some fire on the Yamato while I swing my ship around to get my torpedo tubes unmasked. I fire them into the direction I think the Yamato is turning, and just hope he's going to nose into them without noticing they're in the water. However, it seems he's charging at me rather than turning, and so my torps are likely to miss. Couldn't get away from those battleships in time, and they were able to finish me off. The Yamato is actually turning now, but it looks like my torps are already past him. And so as my ship disappears beneath the waves, he is still up and still on the cap point. We're also losing the northeast cap at the moment. Our gearing is making a valiant effort at trying to draw the enemy ships off of it and keep some damage on them, but it's too big of a task for a single destroyer. And all our battleships are up in the northwest corner except for one who is down in the southeast. They're basically just milling around. I don't know what they're doing, to be quite honest. Gearing kind of carelessly runs himself aground, but he's in a destroyer, and a destroyer is a lot less threatened by beaching itself than a battleship, because it can move a lot faster. So he's able to pull back under the cover of his own smoke and get himself free. Now the gearing was nerfed a bit, deservedly. I think its guns were just too good before, but it does still have pretty considerable firepower. Those are 3 twin turrets of 5-inch guns. They also count towards its anti-aircraft rating. 5-inch dual-purpose gun turrets on the gearing can also be found as secondaries on the North Carolina, the Iowa, and the Montana, and also as the secondary weapons on several of the higher tier US cruisers. They're also the primary weapon of the Atlanta. The Atlanta gets, from memory, 8 of those turrets, and it can fire 7 in a broadside, so you can imagine the amount of fire that thing can put out. Once again, we can see the shallow effects.
Our victory is in sight.
Curiously enough, the battleship that was in the southeastern cap zone has departed to head south into the islands there and play around with the enemy battleships, rather than head north and help the gearing out. The rest of our battleships are still well and truly out of the fight. I don't know what that one guy in B5 is doing, or really even what the 2 in D4 are doing, to be quite honest, but they certainly are not helping the team by being so far away from the fight. Although, yes, it can be stupid to take a battleship into a confined space, sometimes you do actually need to be near the enemy to have a hope at winning, and these guys just weren't there when they needed to be. The enemy battleships, having captured the point, now chase after the gearing, who fires off his torpedoes in an attempt to either discourage them from chasing him or at least maybe kill one of them. He also starts laying smoke once again. Unfortunately for him, the enemy battleships are not about to drive into his torps, and the game is just about done.